Yeah, this is Ashes of Creation. This is a video that basically like explains the game. So we'll check it out and see what we think.
The recent news of Amazon's New World being delayed until 2020.
Is that loud enough, boys?
Many hungry MMO fans being disappointed by this news. I decided that today I want to talk.
I don't know if you guys saw New World. It was the MMO that Amazon released. It looked alright. It just didn't look like anything special. Do you know what's mad about this game as well, right? Is if I put a referral link out, I think the game is $16.99 when it releases, right? If or even you, if anyone refers someone, you get a percentage of their membership for life. So if I referred like my friend, I would get like £3 a month for life. It's like a fucking job.
Leave a small in-game statue for your house to commemorate our struggles through COVID-19. So for those of you that have never heard of the game before, what is Ashes of Creation? Ashes of Creation is a Western-made sandpark MMORPG that's focused on a strong mix of both PvP and PvE content. This game was initially kickstarted.
The graphic style was mad. Like it looks crazy. I think they pushed it back a year just to like switch the engine to a newer engine to make it look even better.
3 years ago, but was already fully funded to completion.
£60 a month. Where did you get that?
Via private investment from the game's creative director, Stephen Sharif. Unlike many of the Eastern MMOs that have had Western releases over the past few years, Ashes of Creation has consistently said from day one that there will be no pay to win in this game.
Can I get a clap in chat, boys? Can I get a clap in chat? Zero pay to win in this game. A new modern game, zero pay to win.
Due to this, the game will operate with a no box cost subscription fee business model with a
no box cost either, so like RuneScape. You just pay membership.
Cosmetic only cash shop. The thing that makes Ashes of Creation the MMORPG that I'm personally the most excited for is the sheer scope of the project. This game seems to be combining all the best aspects from all the top MMOs over the past 10 years and combining it into one game, with all of that being tied together by the game's most unique feature, its node system. Throughout the world in Ashes of Creation,
I'm going to have to disagree with you, Gora. So Gora says, never say never. MTX will come if they need it to stay alive. All right. One thing that's amazing about this game, right, is it's funded by a millionaire. The dude making it is a passion project. So that's why this game's in a weird situation, right, is what makes me interested in it. Is it doesn't have the struggles other game has. The dude making it doesn't even want to make money. I watched an interview of him and he said this game is just like a fuck you to all the other games. Like this is how you make a game properly kind of thing. And he doesn't care about profit and he doesn't have that issue. Yeah, let's watch.
Points of interest on the map called nodes. These nodes.
Yeah, this is how the game functions. So let me rewind it a tad. So we'll see how it works and you guys tell me what you think.
Throughout the world in Ashes of Creation, there's points of interest on the map called nodes. These nodes are basically areas that can progress to different stages of civilizational development as players kill monsters, quest, gather, and adventure within that node's area of influence. Starting out day one when the game first launches, the world will be pretty empty. But let's say you and a group of friends all decide to kill mobs and gather in a certain area. Over time you'll be contributing XP to that area's node, and an expedition will appear with quests. As more players are drawn to that area, it will level up into an encampment with more...
You basically make towns, right? So what I'm wondering, right, if it has different worlds, you know, like RuneScape, you go on a different server, the map's going to be completely different because different people have built up different areas. It's pretty crazy.
Quests, more NPCs, and more opportunity. After that, the node levels up into a village, town, city, and finally a giant sprawling metropolis with more opportunity, world events, and quests appearing at each stage of development. Now that's a very simplified explanation.
Let's hope the quests are good though, and it's not like some like World of Warcraft questing system where it's just like kill X of whatever. Because yeah, I can't be dealing with that.
Of the Ashes of Creation node system, but on
You've
top of that,
lobbied,
there's also
right.
a lot of variables within this system. For example, at launch there will be 103 different possible node locations, and the location of that node dictates the quests and world events triggered upon.
Wait, how many?
At this point, you're probably location of, for example,
103. So there's 103 potential towns and cities you can make.
103 different possible node locations, and the location
It's
of
a
that
big
node
map.
dictates the quests and world events triggered upon development. At this point you're probably thinking, well, what happens when every node reaches its final stage? Wouldn't that become boring? Well, due to how the system's designed, this isn't possible. In leveling up one node, you lock out the possibility for adjacent nodes to grow to the same size. To change this and de-level a node so that adjacent nodes can progress, players will need to participate in a PvP node siege.
Right, it's madness, right? So if you've got your city, right, the one you like, get into a certain stage, and then the neighbors are like kind of big, there's not enough room for both of you, right? So you go, you know what? Fuck these guys. You get all your dudes together and you attack them and destroy their city. Crazy. I reckon you'd get some rage quits though if you had your city destroyed. Look at this, like full on sieges, man.
To destroy a city, for example, so the town node near to it has room to grow and different content can then be unlocked. The way this system is designed intends for long-term player-driven replayability, where each server will have a different history of development and unlocked content. No two servers will be the same, an MMORPG with a true ever-changing world. When it comes to
pretty
node
crazy.
aesthetics, there will also be a lot of diversity here too.
Bro, I love large-scale PvP, right? Like, one of my favorite things in RuneScape is it is big PvP battles. Like, I quite enjoy when I made that video on RuneScape 3, like free-to-play clan wars. And I miss like big wilderness fights on Darkscape and old school. Like, I love large scale PvP. So I think this is like, it'll be like 300 versus 300, like a full on war. It'd be hilarious.
Take on the architectural appearance of the race that contributed the most XP to its development.
Oh, that's cool.
So let's say a guild of orcs went to an area and contributed the most XP to a node, building it up to a town. You've then got a town with an orcish aesthetic. Maybe a guild of dwarves wanted to explore a node in the mountains.
I wonder what races
they could
you
eventually have their own dwarven city in the mountains. The aesthetic of the node changes at every level of development based on the race that contributes the most XP to the node. On top of all this, each node in the world will be assigned one of 4 possible node types, with each having unique benefits. You've got divine, economic, militaristic, and scientific node types. Advancing a scientific node over an economic node, for example, will give different builds.
So what I'm wondering is, do you get to pick if your city gets to a certain stage? Do you pick which one it becomes, or is it like pre-selected?
Options for players to manage in the node, such as libraries, colleges, and artisan buildings, whereas if they leveled up an economic node, they could build markets, stock exchanges,
Jesus, look at all
and
these different
buildings. Each node upon hitting the village stage of development will have a 1-week cooldown before node elections begin. In this, players can try to become the mayor.
Boys. If we play this, is there, and you guys join me in chat, should we make me the mayor of a city?
Of the node.
And I'm gonna tax the shit out of you all.
Allocate resources, set the tax rate, and initiate quests to advance.
Letting players set a tax rate is a bit iffy though.
Node, as well as choose building projects contained within that node. The way the mayoral election system is designed is different for each node type. For scientific nodes, it's a popularity contest where you vote another player in. For economic nodes, it goes to the highest bidder. For divine nodes, the player with the most node-related service quests completed will become the mayor, and
for all the quest hounds.
Militaristic node mayors will be decided via a last-man-standing battle royale type minigame.
That sounds good.
Where players interface through a champion rather than their own character. Obviously, bad mayors.
So basically, to win that one, right, you get a pet. Pay to win, there it is. You get a pet, right, and you level it up. And then you just, it's like fucking Pokemon. You put them all into a battle, and whoever wins becomes like the mayor of the city.
Mayors will be a thing that exists in this game, so every month the election process will happen again so that other players have the chance to challenge for mayor. Other than its node system, Ashes
Challenge
of
me,
Creation
boys.
is also aiming to have a diverse range of content to appeal to pretty much every type of MMORPG player. Let's start with some of the PvP content that will be present in this game.
I haven't played a good MMO with PvP in a long time. PvP is usually very stale. Like, if we look at RuneScape 3 and a lot of other games, like, as games get more complex, PvP gets very, very hard.
PvP content in Ashes consists of open world flagging, Caravan PvP,
Caravans?
duels, Battlegrounds, castle sieges, node sieges, arenas, and guild wars. But before all of you PvE players get scared off at the thought of open world PvP, you'll be happy to know that this game has anti-grief mechanics in the form of its corruption system. When it comes to corruption, players have 3 states: green, non-combatant; purple, combatant; red, corrupted. I've displayed an image on screen that shows how this system works.
So if you kill...
From the point of view
Oh,
of
okay,
a
I see.
non-combatant PvE player minding their own business, if another player comes up to you and kills you, they all become corrupted and receive ever-growing penalties.
Okay, so someone's corrupted, and you're like a non-PvP guy. You can kill them, and you'll still be a non-PvP guy. That's pretty
more
cool.
Innocent players they decide to kill. Eventually, corrupted players can drop their items, which can be looted by other players.
Alright, well, there we go. So you only lose your items if you're like a heavy PvP guy. You get this state, then you become like high risk. If you just keep killing everyone, then your gear's up for grabs, basically.
Will also lose more experience upon death, and also feel dampening in PvP, so they become weaker. Corruption gained is also greater based on the level disparity, so a high level randomly
You can't pick on noobs.
low level player really isn't worth it. Additionally, the game will have a bounty system where players with high corruption score will appear on the map for bounty hunters to track down and kill for rewards, and NPC guards will also attack corrupted players on site, limiting their access to services within nodes.
So if you become a PKer, you're kind of fucked. You can't go in any town.
The Caravan PvP system in Ashes is designed to bring risk-less reward gameplay. Due to storage being localized to each node and different areas of the map having easier or harder access to certain resources, players will need to transport goods between nodes via caravans. When a caravan is spawned, it will create a moving open-world PvP zone. When players approach the caravan, they'll be given 3 options.
Yeah, griefer,
attack,
yeah,
defend,
correct.
or ignore. Caravans can transport goods from more than one place.
Wait, so if... Alright, this is how I see it going. You've got, like, you'll get, like, rival cities which are nearby, right? So if they're city... I'm guessing you live in a city, right? And you play around your city. So, but certain cities don't have certain resources, so they have to trade with other ones. But they send a literal caravan. So if there's a city of people you don't like, you could just keep intercepting their caravans and fucking them up so they don't get the resources they need.
Player at a time, and I can imagine this system.
What the hell is that
will
thing
involve
he's
the
riding?
existence of mercenary guilds who attack caravans or defend them when paid by other players. Castle sieges will be a monthly event.
bro,
in
that
which
looks
guilds
so
will fight
good.
In a 250 versus 250 battle to
Oh,
take control of one of
250 versus 250. That looks so fun. It reminds me of like Bannerlord, if you've ever played that. Imagine Bannerlord, right? But with all real players, not NPCs.
5 castles in the world. Node sieges are different to castle sieges and are the catalyst for change in the world. Node sieges can last up to 2 hours. If a node is successfully defended, it can't be attacked for a certain period of time in relation to the level of that node.
That's
A
good.
village, for example, can't be attacked for another 20 days,
Who will lack the
whilst
most?
a metropolis cannot be attacked for 50 days if successfully defended. Additionally,
That's good that it gets a cooldown, so you can't just keep attacking a city over and over.
once a node siege is declared, there's a period of time where many services in the node are shut down in preparation for war. For a village siege, there's 2 days notice.
Still getting them prayer
and
gains.
for Metropolis, there's 5 days notice. These node sieges can only be
Oh, that's
declared
really
within a certain
good.
period of the server's prime time to
Alright, so you're not going to get attacked at night, which that's very smart, right? So they only happen at prime time. So there'll be like a week warning, and it's probably going to happen on a Saturday at a time where most people are online. So you can't do like sneak attacks.
give everyone a chance to attend. If a node
That's
siege
cool.
is successful, the node is reset to 0, and players with resources...
0?
that node will
I thought it would just go down a level. You literally annihilate the whole city. Holy shit.
lose some of those resources, and real space player housing will also be destroyed. Guild Wars are another separate PvP
Rip
system
the
in Ashes
POF.
of Creation which basically allows guilds to declare war on each other and receive certain objectives to meet a victory condition. This system isn't fully fleshed out as of making this video, but it seems like a more in-depth version of what Black Desert Online currently has, with objective-based components mixed into it too. Guilds can be at war against multiple other guilds at the same time, and Guild Wars
That sounds so
outside
fun.
of the game's corruption PvP flagging system. I think duels
This game will be toxic. It sounds like it could be, right? But also it has the anti-griefing stuff. So it sounds like they're trying to balance it well. So you don't actually have to take part. So we'll just have to see, won't we, though?
Battlegrounds and Arenas are fairly self-explanatory features that Ashes of Creation will have that we all like to see in MMOs, but overall when it comes to the PvP content this game will have, it sounds like everything I've ever wanted in an MMO.
It sounds
From the
insanely
reward of
good.
The Caravan system, to node sieges being
Thanks
the
for the
catalyst
follow.
for change in the world, to the prestige of your guild owning one of the 5 castles on the server. It seems like this game has PvP content for everyone from casual to hardcore and everything in between.
Yeah, you don't really need to take part, but here's the
content
PvE.
will play a massive role in Ashes of
Or
Creation.
PVM.
And features content in the form of quests.
What the fuck is that
open
crab
world
thing?
Dungeons, instanced dungeons, open world raids, instanced raids, world bosses, and monster coin events, as well as all the
Open world raids, like this thing has everything. Like
activities related to the growth of nodes. PvE dungeon and raid content in Ashes will be designed for group sizes of 8, 16 and 40 players. This game will feature a mix of both open world dungeons and raids, as well as instanced dungeons and raids, with 80% of them being open world and 20% of them being instanced. There will be no group
Looks so
finder
fun.
in this game, so you'll need to join guilds and find party members via social interaction.
So what do you reckon, boys? Do you reckon that's a good thing or a bad thing that they have like there's no grouping system, right? You actually have to talk to people and stuff. I feel like that's a double-edged sword. Some people might want a quick grouping system, but I think the game's like trying to keep it social, you know what I mean? And it not just be like a raid simulator. I don't know, what do you guys think?
If you want to partake in a lot of PvE content, the way open world dungeons and raids will work is that they increase in difficulty the deeper you venture inside. At the entrance you might be fighting weaker, lower level mobs with fewer mechanics, but as you get deeper into the dungeon you'll fight tougher
Basically ED3, right? You could just play around in the beginning.
enemies with more mechanics and better loot. Additionally, something you need to bear in mind is that all of the PvE content that's available in Ashes depends on the location of the nodes that the community decides to develop.
Yo, that's a good point, right? So if you get like, you know, we go back to the nodes. If they get to a certain level, certain dungeons open up and that, right? So they're like some dungeons you can never experience because that node never gets built. So does that mean every server will have different dungeons and bosses, or like how the hell does that work?
Server may have access to completely different raids and dungeons to another server.
Oh, there you go. Just answered my
because
question.
their nodes develop differently in different locations. So unlike other MMORPGs, the endgame PvE content really isn't a linear progression. It can't be a linear progression because different raids and dungeons will be locked or unlocked depending on where nodes are developed and what stage they're at.
Yo, do you think people will destroy them to get certain dungeons?
To participate in a PvP node siege to reset the node that unlocks a certain raid, so that another node can then be developed which unlocks a different raid. A fun, unique piece of PvE content that I think a lot of people will enjoy in Ashes
what the hell is that?
its monster coin system. This is an event that either spawns randomly or following the advancement
Basically
of a
zombies.
node, in which a horde of NPC monsters will spawn and attack the node. During this time, players can use an item called a monster coin, which they can receive as a rare drop in game, to turn into a monster and assist the NPCs in attacking the node against other players.
Shit! Right, so if there's no PvP, the game will like spawn an event where your city gets attacked. But players can turn into a monster and join in to help attack the city. That's fucking weird.
During a monster coin event, the node can't be destroyed, but buildings, services,
Build
and
a wall,
NPCs
yeah.
can be disabled for a period of time. Quests in Ashes of Creation are divided up into 3 categories: events, tasks, and narrative quests. Events are things that happen in Ashes as a result of the development of the world. Successfully completing an event will have positive consequences such as buffs, and failing events will have negative
Wait, so you can fail a
consequences,
quest?
such as natural disasters or node services being unavailable
You're gonna get an
for a
earthquake?
period of time. Tasks are quests without excessive amounts of text and story around them, such as collect X resources to help build a blacksmith for the node. And narrative quests are more traditional story quests that can be personal to your class, race, or the region of the world you're in, with some of these story arcs being locked behind further development of the nodes.
Roleplay
If I
content.
was a role player, Ashes of Creation is without a doubt the MMORPG I'd be looking forward to the most. This game's being designed with so many great RP features to really add that extra level of immersion. First, let's
Mission
talk about the
failed.
extensive player housing system. This game will have 3 types of player housing: instanced apartments, real space open world freeholds, and static housing within nodes. Each of these 3 types of player housing become available once a node reaches village stage or higher. Instanced apartments will become available in a node if a mayor decides to...
What scares me, this game is so detailed. Like, it's hella detailed. There's just so much to it. My issue with this game, right, is they could release it with half this stuff not in it and then add it later. The game's just so fleshed out.
Construct apartment buildings within an empty plot. These will work similar to the housing system in BDO, where
So you get literal houses on the game. That's probably why the map's so big. Like, you get a literal house on the game. Like, that other people can come inside and look around and stuff. That's crazy. The subscription, I think, is $16.99, something like that. But there's no other costs. You don't have to buy the game or anything. It's basically the same as RuneScape. You just pay the monthly fee.
you approach an apartment door and you've got a list of options for whose apartment you want to visit. Static housing within nodes are real space player housing.
I might be
that
wrong,
players
though.
can buy that will be visible to everyone. You'll be able to decorate the front of your house with
There's no expansions or anything like that. It's just you pay a flat monthly thing.
ornaments, seamlessly enter and exit, and see your house grow from a small cottage to a mansion as the node levels up.
I like that style of gameplay. Like, there's so many cool things in this. Like, I like that style of gameplay of, like, you know, you get your house, you level up your house. Like, there's just so much to the game. Like, how would you spend your time, boys, when there's just so many different things you can do?
Holds are large real space player housing plots that can be situated within the
But you
zone
can get your own farm, like, away from town.
influence of a node, but not actually inside the node.
In my
Think of
house all the
static
time.
Housing as buying a townhouse that grows in size over time with the node, but freeholds as owning a set size plot of land in the countryside. Freeholds
so
are
cool.
roughly half an acre in size, and due to limited space in the world, players can only own one of these per account, whereas apartments and in-node housing are limited to 1 per server. There's many buildings you'll be able to place on your freehold.
Wait.
such as a blacksmith.
So he said 1 per server and 1 per account. So one of these farms, you can only have 1 in out of all the servers, just 1 in 1 server. That's pretty strict.
Stables and other stuff related to crafting, role-playing and other life skill related content players might want to partake in. Each of these 3 forms of player housing will allow players to decorate them with furniture, some of which
basically
is functional,
Sims in the
others
game.
just cosmetic, and when a node's destroyed, players will lose their housing. However, a template will be mailed to them so they can quickly load the layout of their housing hassle-free when they eventually find a new home. As with every
That's good anti-griefing. So if your house gets destroyed, like your plot of land, you get a blueprint. So if you build it again, it's already laid out, which is pretty nice.
good roleplay MMO, Ashes of Creation will feature a wide range of races. Currently, the game is planning on 9 playable races for launch, each of which have different cultures, which
Weird
will be
names.
reflected in the appearance of nodes that they contribute to the most. You've got 2 different variations of humans, dwarves...
Alright, what would you boys play? So I'm guessing they're your dwarves. I don't know what the hell that is. I guess that's humans. It looks like there's elves. I don't know what that is. Always
Swords
elf?
and a race called the Tulnar, which live underground. Different
I don't
races
know.
will have different racial abilities, and each race will have different base stats. However, there will be no gender lock for any of the races, and every race can play as every class. Other nice RP features the game will have include an extensive emote system with interactable furniture,
Emotes,
the
Pog.
ability to lean against scenery, sit on benches, and dance with other players.
Bro, that I like. When I was younger, right, on RuneScape, didn't you want to just be able to, like, sit on chairs or, like, just lay on the bed? You know, like, when I was role-playing after my RuneScape marriage in Varrock, and then we went to the house opposite, I wanted to be able to lay on the bed, you know, and further my roleplay. But, yeah, it's nice to have a landscape you can interact with a bit more.
Able to play parlor games with other players inside of taverns, some being dice games, others involving cards. You'll be able to join different types of social organizations in the game, such as the Scholars Academy,
Mate, they're gonna have
Guild
cults.
or Traders Company, and there'll also be a marriage mechanic in the game that may unlock special quests and further functionality with player.
Not a dating site. Bro, you can literally get married in this game. I reckon the dude who made this looked at RuneScape and was like, remember when you wanted to get married on RuneScape? We'll make it happen in our game. You can actually get married. You can actually buy GF.
Housing.
That's
Overall,
nuts.
From a roleplay perspective, it seems as though there's going to be more than enough.
Bro, you know how many people are going to get married and then, like, a year later find out it was some dude called Steve?
Voices and customization in Ashes of Creation.
Flashbacks.
That each player's journey in this game will be
Them pets are
completely
pretty cool.
unique, and it will also have all the immersive social elements that can help bring people together in an MMO.
Buying GF gonna be
Professions and life
legit,
skills in Ashes
literally.
of Creation are referred to as Artisan Classes. These are split into 3 different trees: gathering, processing,
here's the
and
skills.
crafting. Gathering professions consist of fishing, herbalism, lumberjacking,
Woodcutting
mining,
level?
and animal taming. Processing professions basically refine raw material via the use of certain freehold
Well, you can
buildings,
swim.
such as forges
What
to
if it's like
process
underwater
ore into
battles?
bars, lumberyards processing logs to planks, and so on. Crafting professions consist of alchemy, armor smithing, blacksmithing, carpentry, cooking, jewel crafting, scribing, shipbuilding, siege weapon building, and weapons.
There's just so much to
In
this game.
Each character will only be able to truly master one profession. You'll be unable to master multiple.
I'm picking a female character. It said you could change genders or something.
Still be able to progress with multiple professions, but not to the extent of mastery. This is to create the need for community interaction and create a sense of identity.
So you specialize. So you'll have basically one skill that can go to 99, but the rest can only go to 90. So there's always a need for, like, certain people and player interaction, I guess.
Crafting in Ashes of Creation is also being designed so that it won't become irrelevant like in other MMOs. Crafted gear will be on par with the highest tier drops from raid bosses, and due to being limited
That's something RuneScape did well with Masterwork armor as well.
to mastery of only one artisan class, guilds will have to organise multiple people to meet their crafting and gathering needs to initiate sieges.
I like
complete
that.
projects,
You gotta have
and
roles in your
contribute to the
clan.
node. Personally, the profession I'm most excited for is animal husbandry.
If everyone just picks the best, though, you'll be screwed. If everyone picks the same thing, like later on, your group will be screwed because you won't have someone to do certain things. You kind of need a little bit of everything in your clan.
As you'll be able to breed different animals together to create some really
Ooh.
weird and wonderful mounts.
Wait. So you could find, bro, there's a breeding system, right? So you could find, like, some weird mount, right? And then your friend's got another mount, and you can breed them and see what weird creations you can make. That's fucking weird.
The class system in Ashes of Creation is quite interesting and leads to a lot of variety. First, you'll start out by picking a primary class archetype between Bard, Cleric, Fighter, Mage, Ranger, Rogue, Summoner, and Tank. Eventually, as you progress with your primary class, you'll get to choose a secondary class out of the same 8 options I previously mentioned. So choosing to be a Mage, then Fighter, for example, would give you the overall class of Battle Mage.
Battle Mage.
With this
That's
system,
cool.
there's a possibility of 64 different class combinations.
Jeez, okay, so you pick, like, your first one. You'll be like, okay, I'm going to be a Ranger. And then I'm going to be a Mage. So you become a Scoin? I should have picked one I could fucking read. Wait, so you can be a tank DPS. You can be a tank mage. Spell shield. Okay, I like the name. Tank range, warden. Tank fighter, knight. That leaves a lot of combinations there. Do you reckon it'll be one of them games where people only pick like 3 or 4 would only ever be picked? That's a lot of names they had to come up with. Yeah, that's so cool. I'm gonna be a Apache helicopter. You be whatever you want, mate.
On screen now. Ashes of Creation will be designed around the Trinity system of tank, healer, and DPS. You will not be able to change your class's primary role, however with some effort you will be able to change your secondary role. Weapons and armor will not be class locked, but some classes will obviously be more efficient with certain types of armor and weapons.
That's good. I didn't like that about World of Warcraft.
System, it will use a tab target action.
Like when I played World of Warcraft, it'd be like, oh, okay, I'm a mage, right? And it's like, oh, you find this amazing armor, and you're like, oh, can't wear it. It's not cloth. That was annoying. At least you can wear everything.
Combat hybrid system. The way this system will work is that each class will have 2 categories of skills: tab target skills and action combat style skills.
All right, let's
have up to 75.
So tab target, and then action combat. So tab target, is that more like EOC? Tab target, is that like your abilities and you're locked on? And then the other one is like hitting in front of you, where you don't necessarily hit something. Is that correct? One of them is like a free whack where you aim, and the other one's a locked on thing. I think. I don't know. I'm not a combat expert.
5% of either tab targeting abilities or 75% action combat abilities, but not 100% either way. Personally, the way I'd imagine this system will play out will be something close to Guild Wars 2 or Arcade. However, the action combat side of this combat system is still in development.
The combat looks amazing.
Video, so it's hard
it looks
to say
really
how
fun.
The complete system will actually
Being a ranger looks super fun. The map's huge.
When starting out in Ashes of Creation, you'll first make your character, choose your primary class,
Absolute
then you'll be
Chad.
given the choice to spawn at one of 4 divine gateways in the world. Each race does have their own starter zone and starter quests, but they won't be super mandatory to do, more of a recommendation. There's nothing stopping you as an elf spawning in the dwarven starting area to level with your friend.
That's
the
good.
world size in Ashes is planned to be truly massive, approximately 4.
Well, I'm gonna try this when it comes out. If you guys want to join in, should we all start in the same area? That could be kind of fun.
480 square kilometers in size, including both water and land content,
Where are we dropping,
as
boys?
well as a diverse range of biomes ranging from deserts, swamps, plains, forests, snowy mountains, tropical islands, and everything in between. This game will be fully open world and also features underground zones known as the Underrealm. Ashes of Creation will feature an in-game viewable world map. However, starting out, much of it will be covered in a fog of war until areas have been explored and uncovered.
Is that for everyone or per
zones in the
person?
world that will experience all 4 seasons, which will bring about their own events, buffs, debuffs, and farming challenges. Seasons will rotate
bro, like, have you got to grow your own food or something? He said farming challenges. Like, why would you pick a snowy area or just starve to death?
Each week, with a full 4-season rotation passing by every 4 weeks. When it comes to the leveling, the max level
Wait, it's got like full-on weather on a 4-week rotation. That's crazy.
Will be 50, and it will take roughly 45 days of playing 4 to 6 hours per day for the average player to level from 1 to 50. So definitely more on the hardcore side of things in that regard.
Bro, I play RuneScape. That sounds like Easyscape to me.
Unlike a lot of modern MMOs, flying mounts will be extremely rare in Ashes of Creation. That's achievable only for guild leaders that own one of the game's 5 castles, the main
Flying
Metropolis
mounts
nodes, and through legendary limited
Wow,
time
that looks so
dragon eggs
fun.
that players might obtain from a world boss. It's unlikely there will ever be more than 10 players per server with temporary access to.
That's a bit sad. He said only 10 people per server will probably be flying at any one time. So what, you can't, like, you and the boys just go for a fly? That'd be fun. I wonder if you can actually sit someone on the back of it, though. That would be pretty cool. If you could be like, alright, yo, hop on the back of my mount. If you're the only guy with a flying one. That would be sick.
Flying. And when you consider that each server will have a population of between 8 to 10,000 players, seeing them will be really epic.
Right, it'd be like Pokemon, right? You know when he sees that first rare flying Pokemon? That'd be like the first time you see a flying mount.
Worth mentioning that fast travel will be extremely limited in this game, as the developers want distance to matter.
Good.
The only form of fast travel that will be possible is if a scientific node reaches the metropolis stage. At this point, players can construct a building that offers fast travel only to nodes within the metropolis's zone of influence. But that's pretty much it for my basic explanation of what Ashes of Creation is without going super in depth on stuff. Next, I want to talk about why I believe this is the most exciting upcoming MMORPG, and why this game isn't just a pipe dream, rather something many people, including myself, will be testing with no NDA before the end of this year.
That's huge. No NDA. Like, that's very trusting and very scary. Like, that means anyone who plays your game can talk about it, make videos on it. That shows confidence. Like, most games, if you get in early, they're like, oh, don't like say this, sign this contract. This game's like, bro, do what you want. We confident in our game. We don't care.
First of all, it goes without saying, after everything I've just explained about the game, it will be the most ambitious fantasy MMORPG ever attempted. The game will...
That's what scares me. It's very ambitious, so I feel like it could easily fail.
Truly have something for everyone. It's not just a PvP MMO or a PvE MMO, it's a genuine PvX MMO that has pretty much everything.
Whatever you want to do,
Usually
you
when
can
a
do
new
in this game.
MMORPG
You can play it
is
how you
announced
want.
and they talk about their plans
That's
when it
truly
comes to game
MMO,
design.
innit?
It's always vague. There's a ton of question marks on many core systems, and it doesn't take long before players can look at the ideas of the developers and straight up say, this is a bad idea, this won't work. New World has been a perfect example of this since the first time I tried the game in 2018 to recently when it announced its delay. When it comes to the game design of Ashes of Creation, it seems to me that almost every aspect of the game has been clearly thought out, and thanks to years of Q&As between the community and developers, we have a clear blueprint for how this game will actually play out if you care to read it on the Ashes of Creation wiki. When it comes to the core game design systems, there's nothing I'm overly concerned about. Everything seems to make sense and follow a strong design principle of risk versus reward. For me, the only real question mark I have about the game is how fun will the combat be? What does their...
I mean, the combat looks really good. That's not even a concern, boys. If you have any concern about this game in chat, what do you reckon it'll be? And don't worry, boys, we're still hammering away. What would your concern be with this game? What is it you'd be worried about?
75% action tab hybrid combat system actually play like.
Ooh, headshot.
I think if they can nail that and just follow the blueprint for this game until completion,
Too big
it will
to
be
deliver.
a guaranteed success.
Yeah, that's kind of my
Creation
concern.
is primarily a privately funded MMORPG made by an MMO fan frustrated by the direction of the genre, who was extremely successful in business earlier in life. Since I first covered this
Yeah, bro, this game's got unlimited money. That's what's amazing about it as well. Like, most games, right, I see some MMOs pop up, and they look really good, but they just struggle to get funding. Because everyone's like, another MMO, you know what I mean? And they just struggle to get going. But this dude doesn't have that issue at all. Massive forming alliances and destroying servers. Well, I think the fast travel combats that, right? So if you've got one clan that's like really dominating and destroying everyone, but you're over here, they can't get to you quickly. So that, I think that's the reason where they don't have like fast travel. So one dude can't like, and loads of flying mounts, can't like dominate a server.
In 2017,
they can only dominate their area.
It expanded to over 100 developers, attracting people from Blizzard, Sony Online Entertainment, Daybreak Games, and more. This year especially, we've seen production for Ashes of Creation ramp up significantly, and in recent live streams we've seen gameplay sessions of many core systems working, such as the mayoral system, early hybrid combat, real-time node development, open world dungeons, a 40-man raid, the Caravan Pvp System, basic professions, and the purchasing of in-node player housing. What's more impressive is the creative director's commitment to transparency, despite the project still likely being a solid 2 years from completion. Sometime this fall, we've been told that people who have access to the game's Alpha 1 test will be able to stream and make content about the game with no NDA. And when you consider that Amazon's New World still has a strict NDA, despite previously being 2 months out from its supposed release, to me shows a lot of confidence in a product.
For
now,
sure.
All of that's not to say that Ashes of Creation hasn't had its problems or drama surrounding its development, because it certainly has. Releasing Ashes of Creation Apocalypse, the Battle Royale testing environment on Steam, caused nothing but confusion to the people that were casually following the project.
Oh, did people think the game like fully released? I don't know, did anyone play this?
And in the past, the community went long periods of time without seeing any tangible gameplay due to an issue where large portions of Foundation code had to be rewritten, essentially delaying the game by 1 year. But in 2020,
it's good they do that
really
though, because like if you look at RuneScape 3, that's one of its biggest issues. It's just built on mountains of spaghetti code. At least this game pushed it back a year just to rewrite the code so it doesn't have that issue later on.
Of Creation come together. Almost every monthly live stream we've been shown new gameplay. We've already had players get into the early Alpha 1 client and talk about their experiences thanks to no verbal NDA, and community perception of the project as a whole has shifted from extremely skeptical to cautiously optimistic. Whilst there's still a long road ahead for Ashes of Creation, I have to say that in the 5+ years I've been a full-time MMORPG YouTuber, this is the only upcoming MMO that I've been able to look at and say to myself, if this game releases, it has a real chance of being the next truly successful MMORPG.
Oh yes, for sure.
Thanks for watching.
Alright, well that's that. I think that game is like got so much potential. So much potential. It looks so damn good. It looks amazing, man. Like, I don't know, what do you guys think? I think it looks insane. I did see a comment. Someone said it's too late to draw other players in, which I think is somewhat right with most MMOs, but I think this one's kind of different. I think a lot of people who are MMO players like us, they want something to come along that will just blow their current game out the water, and it hasn't. I think if you're like a hardcore WoW player or a hardcore RuneScape player, like the other games ain't appealing enough to make you fully switch. Like you'll still play the one you played more as a kid. I think that game just has so much potential.
All these brothers, my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side, CJ Ike, now I gotta roll with ice. Cold, these brothers, my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride.